ahead and get started. If you guys have any issues or there's a problem with the audio or the video, just let me know. The Yeah, this is my first time here, but yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to come to my free English class. So the idea today is pretty simple. What we're gonna do is we're gonna teach you guys some new phrases and a little bit of grammar so that you can introduce yourself better in English. And then, okay, very good. Let me change one thing so that I'm not so big. I'm going to move myself over here to this corner. But, okay, very good. Julian Camilo, hello there. Gracias por este espacio. Awesome. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me see. I'm not sure if I'm able to participate in the chat, but yeah, thank you very much. Oh no, what did I just do? All right, bear with me. So we'll go ahead and so, yeah, we'll move on to the first thing. Pretty much what we'll be doing to start out is we're going to look at a few different examples of ways to describe your job in English. But before we get started, if you have a chance, please, in the messages, describe your job in English. So imagine you are in a job interview and they ask you, what do you do? Tell me about work. How would you answer this question? All right, very good. So we will continue. All righty. So the are you guys seeing this red line on the screen? Okay, that looks much better. All right. So what we'll do, we have four different examples of people introducing themselves in English. I'll read them, I'll explain the vocabulary, and then what we'll do is look at a few real life examples of people using these phrases. So give me one second. I'm going to turn on, one moment. I'm going to turn on my fan and we're going to check over on some other platforms and see if anyone else has trouble joining. Let's see here. Okay. Mm. All right, very good. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I'll read the introduction and explain the vocabulary. So he says, I'm the director of Imbalance, which I set up in 1996. We offer high quality training services throughout the UK. I'm mainly in charge of planning and coordinating our courses. I work with a team of full time staff and freelance trainers. So, the key word here is I'm mainly in charge of. So, instead of saying I do something or I am something, this is correct, but it's a bit too basic. You can say I'm in charge of, then you can talk about your responsibilities, excuse me, or you can talk about the area that you manage. So, for example, here, instead of saying I'm the marketing manager, you can say I'm in charge of planning marketing campaigns. Or you could say, as a department, I'm in charge of the marketing department. Now, when we talk about work with, we say work with to talk about the people that you work with. So it could be your coworkers or it could be your business partners or clients. So, for example, I could say, I'm an English teacher. I work with business professionals. Does that make sense? All right, very good. So, another thing to keep in mind here is this word set up. So, to set something up means to create something. So when you set up a business, you create it. All right, very good. So now what we're going to do is we will look at a couple examples of this in context. So let me go back. Give me 1 second. Yep, 10 out of 10. Okay, very good. Thank you, Julia. So what we'll do next, and I apologize, I live here in Medellin, Colombia. We have some dogs barking outside of the window. So just a typical Friday night. So what we'll do now is we're going to look at a couple examples of this in context. So I like to use this website. It's called youglish.com. So like YouTube, but with English. So Youglish. And what you can do, it's completely free. And you just type in a word or a phrase. So we could type in, I'm in charge of.
And that helps me feel like I'm in charge of the room.
And what you can do is it'll pretty much just show you clips of YouTube videos where this word is used in context. So it can help you how to pronounce something and also the proper use. So
It helps me feel powerful.
okay.
Years ago? And I said, yes, Miss Jones, why? And she stuffed out her chest and she said, because I'm in charge of Homeland Security.
So you see here, I'm in charge of Homeland Security, meaning she's the head of Homeland Security. We'll do
At Ford and I'm in charge of marketing that, I better own.
yeah. So I'm in charge of marketing. I run the marketing department. All right. So any questions, you guys can put them in the messages. Yes. Yes, I am in Colombia right now. So I was born and raised in the United States, in Texas. I lived my whole life there, but I moved to Colombia before the pandemic to learn Spanish. And the pandemic kept me here, and I started teaching English, and I've been here mostly ever since. So, but yeah, I live here in Medellin. It's very beautiful. Actually, I visited Bogota with my girlfriend, let's see, last October or last November. And yeah, it was a very, very beautiful city. Very big. I was surprised it was very big. There in Bogota, it takes forever to get from place to place. But yeah, you guys have great food and lots of beautiful things to do. But yeah, I'm here in Medellin. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on. I'm mainly in charge of whatever. So 1 second. All right. Next one here. Emram Bot. I work as a trainer for Imbalance and run regular courses on using mobile technologies and marketing. I'm also a marketing consultant with my own agency. I specialize in online marketing, and a large part of my work involves developing marketing strategies for small to medium business size, biz, small to medium sized business owners. Oh, okay. Sometimes your audio is muting. Maybe it's because your PC captures the sound of your device and your mic, but it can't work at the same time. Oh, okay. So is my audio muting while I have the video playing at the same time, or is the audio muting when I'm speaking normally? But thank you. That's very good to know. Okay, very good. Yeah, of course. Alrighty. So, yeah, when we talk about I specialize in, we use this to talk about your expertise. So when you introduce yourself to someone, it's easy to say, I work in this or I do this, but it's very general. It's better to say, I specialize in online marketing or I specialize in developing marketing strategies for small businesses. Oh, okay, perfect. So I will avoid playing the video and talking at the same time. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, yeah. And so, for example, if you are a freelancer instead of saying, yeah, for example, I'm an English teacher. So instead of saying I teach English, I would say I'm an English teacher, but I specialize in helping business professionals improve their English. It shows that you have more expertise and it makes you seem more competent, more professional. It's a much better way to say it. Good night. Uh, Cello Vensu. Yeah, good night to you as well, or a good evening. So, all right, awesome. Very good. Welcome to our class. What we're doing is we're going over a few phrases you can use to introduce yourself and describe your work. So here we have the word specialize in, which we use to talk about the things that you're really good at. So you could say, I'm an accountant, but I specialize in helping small business owners reduce their taxes, or something like this. Awesome. And it looks like we have some Spanish speakers here as well. So I'm not sure who else is in the chat, who else is watching, pero si tienes alguna pregunta en español, me puede preguntar y yo les puedo responder así en español. Entonces voy a seguir hablando en inglés, pero si no me entiende, me dices y yo repito así en español hasta que puedo. Pero bueno, vamos a seguir así en inglés. All right. So let's look at some examples of specialize in. Let's see what we have here. Okay, give me one moment. All right. So we'll go over here and we'll see some examples of specialize in. So we'll say, I specialize in. All right.
I specialize in making new types of nanoscale electronic devices to
Okay. So she said, I specialize in making new types of devices. So she's probably an engineer. She can say, I'm an engineer, but I specialize in this. It gives more detailed and better information.
study their fundamental
Pediatric nephrologist. I specialize in pediatric kidney disease.
Okay, very good. So she just said there, we'll go back 5 seconds.
Okay, so I'm primarily a
This is a great example. She says, I'm primarily a pediatric nephrologist. And to be honest, I do not have to know what a nephrologist is. Pediatric means a children's doctor. So she says, I'm a children's doctor. And then she gets more specific, but I specialize in.
pediatric nephrologist. I specialize in pediatric kidney disease.
So she says she specializes in pediatric kidney disease, which is kidney disease relating to children. Yes, cello. So I do live here in Colombia. I've lived here off and on for, I guess, 5 years now, because I came here with the plan to travel from Colombia, Argentina, Peru, but I arrived here January of 2020. So I was stuck here during the pandemic and decided I wanted to start teaching English and live down here full time. So, but yes, I've been living here in Medellin for most of my time in Colombia. And to answer the other question, um, is it a fixed phrase? That's a very good question. So, yes, it is. So you can add something before. So you could say, I mainly specialize in, but you can't change out in for another word. So you could say, um, for example, I mainly specialize in helping businesses, or I mainly specialize in marketing. And something that's very important is this part we call a gerund. This is the word for this ing ending in English. So when we say developing, running, and things like this. So after a preposition, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but after a preposition, you always have to use this gerund, this ing. So you could say, I do this, but I mainly specialize in, and then you can say helping this or managing this or whatever your job is, put the ing and you can get more specific. Um, yes, exactly. And so most of what we'll talk about today, is this like general topic to something specific? Yes, that's the idea. Um, for today's class is instead of saying something general, we can say something more specific, which makes you sound more fluent and communicates more of what you actually do. Um, let's see. Is it a verb? Yeah, so it's this phrase. The phrase is I specialize in. So, does that make sense? Okay, perfect. All right. Now we'll look at this next one, Fay de Boutillier. This is not an American name. I believe this name is French. But here we go. I work in customer services for Imbalance. As a customer service representative, I mainly deal with inquiries and bookings from a variety of clients, ranging from multinational corporations to individual customers. So, the keyword here is deal with, and you can use this for many things. Um, I know. Bueno, I know. Eso siempre me hace sentir como muy, no sé, muy orgulloso, pero muchas gracias decir eso. Bueno, sí, thank you. All right, very good. So, but yeah, deal with, it's about responsibilities and also about problems. So when you talk about the types of situations you encounter in your day-to-day life, you can say, I deal with this. So for example, I'm an accountant. I deal with taxes. I deal with numbers. You can also talk about your clients. So I deal with large companies. I deal with small businesses and things like that. And the last way you can use it is to talk about problems. So if you have a big problem and you need to kind of solucionarlo, you need to deal with it. So you could say, I can't come to the meeting because I'm dealing with a big problem. Or maybe your boss sends you an email and says, hey, we received a customer complaint. I need you to deal with it, which means I need you to solucionarlo. I need you to find a solution for this. So instead of saying, I do customer service, you can say, I deal with customer inquiries and bookings. Instead of saying, and you could also say, I deal with multinational clients and service requests. So it's just giving more information about your responsibilities. And then the other thing we mention here is work in. So when you say work in, we talk about the department you work in. So I work in finance, customer service, accounting. And you could also talk about the industry. So you could say, I work in food service. I work in entertainment. I work in energy. I work in government. So it's a more general term to talk about where you work in terms of the industry or the department. So let's see what we got here. Handle. Okay, very good. Yes. So handle and deal with are pretty much interchangeable. So, and handle is also good. It's not too informal. Don't worry about that. So, the only difference, el único diferencia entre deal with y handle es que handle no lleva preposición. So you can say, I need to deal with this, or I need to handle this. But when you're describing your responsibilities, it's less common to say, I handle inquiries. Handle is a lot more about solving problems. But very good question. Okay, very good. So we'll look at a few examples of how deal with is used here. Deal with.
But Bob and his team worked to deal with each one of those texts or emails or phone calls he received.
So here he's saying that his kind of the customer service team for the president deals with these calls. So they handle these calls, texts, and emails, just like you asked there.
Receives because
permit them to deal with the grave, grave crisis of climate change.
The really smart, there was a corporate blindness is very dangerous because it means we're ignoring the problem. There was a corporate study that said that instead of avoiding race, the really smart corporations actually deal with it head on.
So in this situation, they're talking about race and racial tension in the workplace, and they're saying the company will deal with this, will solve this problem head on. Now, head on, it means to face it without hesitation. It's like, no sé, es como enfrentarlo de una. It's like you face it head on, you don't try to avoid it or ignore it, you deal with it head on. So, for example, when you get to the office in the morning, some people avoid the difficult work and some people face the difficult work head on. So, right away. All right. Very good. So, and then while we're, we'll move on to the next one because I do have a class at 8 o'clock. So we have about 30 minutes left today. All right. Tasha or Tasia Clifford. Not sure how she would say that. Here we go. I work part-time for Imbalance, and I'm responsible for running their courses on employment law and health and safety. For the rest of the time, I'm a business lawyer with experience in the fields of employment law and health and safety. Most of my work consists of advising managers and businesses in these two areas. My clients come from a range of businesses and organizations. So here we have I am responsible for, which is another way to talk about describing your responsibilities. So instead of saying I teach employment law, you can say I'm responsible for running training courses on employment law, health, and safety. So someone says, what do you do? You don't say, let me think of a new example instead of these financial examples we've been using. Uh, yeah, you could, instead of saying, I'm a personal trainer, you could say, I'm a personal trainer. I'm responsible for helping my clients reach their fitness goals. And again, here we have for, and it's going to be followed by a noun or this ing form of the verb. So I'm responsible for client management, or I'm responsible for doing something. So let's look here. Okay, one moment. I'm responsible for.
At Google. I'm responsible for managing the teams globally that design, build, and operate Google's data centers. We're also responsible for the environmental health and safety, sustainability.
So, very good. He talks about his job. He says, I'm responsible for managing the data centers, and we, as a company, are responsible for this. All right, let's see what we got here. It sounds like deal with actually has a solution for an issue. You have options to solve them. It is not like when the problem has no solution. Exactly, yeah. That's a good way to think about it. So when people will tell you to deal with something when they think it's possible for you to solve it. So I've never thought about it in this way, but yeah, you could say that. So if you're trying to deal with a problem, it means that you believe that it's a solvable problem. So, sí, sí, yo creo que en mi canal de YouTube este video va a quedar grabado, sí, después. Ah, sí, sí, va a ser en mi canal de YouTube aquí. Porque yo hice un test ayer y quedó grabado eso, pero lo borré. Pero sí, eso va a quedar grabado. Entonces, si tiene que hacer algo, puede ir a hacerlo y pues mañana volver para hacer cómo terminó todo eso. Yes, so this video will be recorded, so you can come back whenever you want to rewatch it. And also, okay, very good. Um, and also, I have a link to this presentation, but I need to find a way to share this link. I thought I would be able to put it in the messages. Maybe I'll put it in the description or I'll post it on my Instagram later today. But anyway, we will continue. So the next thing she talks about is consists of. So when we say my work consists, we're talking more about the details of your work, about the tasks and activities. So, for example, you could say my work consists of advising managers on legal compliance and business policies. So, you guys may notice many of these phrases have a similar use. I'm responsible for, my work consists of, I deal with. A lot of these have the same use, but it's good to mix it up and be able to describe your work in different ways. And also, as a non native speaker, maybe, for example, maybe you struggle to say responsible, but you could say consists of, no problem. So you can also pick the phrases that are easier for you to pronounce. But anyway, so yeah, let's use the personal trainer example. If you're a personal trainer, your work consists of meeting with clients, planning workouts, and helping clients with their workouts. So we'll look here at consists of to see a few examples. All right. So my work consists of.
My work consists of two different aspects of glass art, where I mainly focus on wholesale work selling to galleries, and that consists of vases, bowls, and a lot of stemware, a lot of wine glasses.
Okay. So he says, my work consists of doing this. So it's a very easy way to talk about of your work. So you can say, oh, I'm an accountant. My work, or you could perhaps say, oh, I work in finance. I know my job sounds exciting, but my work mainly consists of organizing spreadsheets and preparing presentations, or something like this. So to talk about the details of your work, you can say consists of. And it's important to use consists of. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next part here. All right, very good. So we'll review real quickly the different prepositions with work. So when you say I work as, you're talking about your job title. It's like saying I am a. So I work as a recruiter. I'm a recruiter. When we say we work in, we're talking about our industry or department. So I work in accounting. I work in energy. So you could think about I work inside, like you're. But it's the same in Spanish. Yo trabajo en finanzas. Yo trabajo en lo que sea. The next one is work with. So work with also translates pretty well to Spanish to talk about the people that you work with. It could be clients, business partners, and coworkers. Then the last one, work for, is to talk about the company. So you can say, I work for Apple. I work for Postobon. Or you could say, I work for myself. So if you are self-employed, you can say, I work for myself. Yo trabajo por mi cuenta. I work for myself. So, any questions so far? Okay, we'll go ahead and continue. All right, so I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but there is one grammar pattern we're going to talk about today, and it has to do with verbs and prepositions. So, all right, perfect. Thank you. So, I want you guys to take a moment to read these sentences and tell me if you see a pattern relating to the prepositions and the verbs. So I'll read these out loud and give you guys a chance to think about it. I'm responsible for managing the project. She's interested in learning new skills. I specialize in developing marketing strategies. Very good. Awesome. Very good, Julian. Julian, sorry. So you're right. So after a preposition, words like for, in, with, of, before, after, we're always going to use the gerund or the ing form of the verb. So, all right, very good. So there are many rules regarding gerunds and infinitives, and we'll go over a few of the simple ones here, and I'll leave you guys a link so that you can do some more practice on that later. So we talked about after prepositions, the verb is in this ing form. Just like we've seen, I'm responsible for managing the company. Now, the other situation where we use a gerund is at the beginning of the sentence or when the verb is like the subject of the sentence. So here you see, being late stresses me out. Running is my favorite activity. So here it's a verb, but it functions like a noun. Because I could say here, for example, that John stresses me out. So I could substitute a noun for this verb, and in that case, I'm going to use this gerund. So when you have a verb as the first word of the sentence, typically it's going to be ing. So learning English is the best way to spend your Friday night, for example. All right. So the next two rules we'll learn today are about the infinitive, which is when you have to plus the verb. So to meet, this is called the infinitive. So after an adjective, we're going to use this infinitive form. So I'm glad to meet you. I'm interested to know more about the job. And then the last time we use an infinitive, or the last rule that we will learn today, is to express purpose. So you would say, I'm taking this class to improve my English. So this is one thing that many Spanish speakers make a mistake of. They typically say, I'm taking this class for improve my English, but this is incorrect. We don't, I know in Spanish you say, estoy tomando ese curso para mejorar mi inglés, pero en inglés no decimos así. We say to improve. So it's the same as para mejorar, but in English we're going to say to improve. So I'm going to the store to purchase milk or something like that. So when we have a purpose, we're going to use to. All right. So if you guys want to practice this topic a little bit more, you can use this website, which is also free. So this website is test-english.com, and it has all of these grammar exercises that you can do. It has simple exercises, and then the exercises get more difficult as you go. So you start out with exercise 1, they give you a choice. Then by the time you get to exercise 4, you have to type it in yourself. And of course, you can check your answers, and they have explanations as well. So today we practiced a little bit. We learned a couple of these. So to express a purpose, um, as a subject of the sentence after a preposition, but you see here there are a lot more rules about the infinitive and ing. So maybe we will do a live stream about this in the future, but for today we don't have enough time to cover this grammar. But this website, test-english.com, really is great and it's free. Yeah, I use it with my students all the time. You can see different levels of grammar and vocabulary. So enough about test English. All right. So we'll do a bit of practice here. So what I want you guys to do is read the sentence and tell me which one is correct. So would you say she's interested to learn or interested in learning? So I believe I believe the chat is a bit delayed. Oh, okay. It looks like I can put something in the chat now. So I'm going to put a couple things in the chat so that you guys have access to this. I'll put Youglish here. And by the way, I'm not affiliated with any of these companies. I just use them and they're good. So and they're free, of course. Very good. Yeah, interested to learn English. Perfect. Profe, en esa página se evaluó tal vez qué nivel de inglés tiene la persona, o sea, no creo. La verdad no creo, no sé, pero no. Puede ser. No sé, puede ser. Dice que hay exámenes, entonces uno puede, sí, probar el examen a ver cómo le va, pero no creo que les va a dar algún tipo de, pues, que te va a dar algún tipo de certificación o algo de eso, pero parece que si hay exámenes para evaluarte tú mismo, no sé, pero sí está bien. Okay, y también, all right. So the other thing I want to put here real quick is the link to access this presentation. So if you guys want to access this presentation, you can do it here. So you should be able to access it and view this if you want to see this after our lesson is finished. But we'll go back here because we have about 15 minutes. All right. Present. All right. What about, yeah. So we'll move on to the next part because we don't have too much time left. But if you guys want, you can click on that link and you can check this out later. And if you guys have any questions about this, you can always check me out on Instagram, DM there, and I will respond to you. So I'll show you guys this page here. I'll put the link to this in the messages. I think most of you came from Instagram, so you should already have this. But if you have any questions, you can send me a DM here. I post short videos to teach English, or you can also send me a message to my email. So a full-time teacher. If you guys are interested in a one-on-one class, or if you and some coworkers and some friends are interested in taking classes, you can send me an email here. It's grant@businessasusualenglish.com. So on Instagram or through my email, and I'll let you guys know more about prices. And I do offer trial classes so you guys can see if it's something that you want to do or not. But anyway, back to the lesson. Okay. So you see some more practice here, but we have to move on for today. All right. So now we're going to talk about some adjectives that you can use to describe your work. So, for example, maybe you're in a networking event and you meet a new person and they ask you about your job. You tell them, "Oh, I'm the Marketing manager, I'm responsible for creating campaigns. And their next question is, oh, how is it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? So you can use some of these adjectives to describe how your work is. So the first adjective here is challenging. This means that it is something difficult, but when we say it's challenging, it's not necessarily negative. When something's challenging, it means it's hard, but it's good. So we say, yeah, requires effort and problem solving, but helps you to grow. And you can also use challenging to talk about other things in life. For example, learning English is challenging, but rewarding. So it's hard, but it gives you a good result. So that's the next one. Rewarding is it gives you some kind of positive results. Maybe a lot of money, maybe a good feeling, maybe the company is really helping the world. And so you can have this positive emotion. It's a rewarding job. Um, I want to show you guys one other resource that I use a lot that's great for practicing words, and this resource is Sentence Stack. So what you can do here, it's just like Youglish, but it's for written text. So all you do is you type in a word, and it will give you the definition, and then it will show you tons of examples of this word used in different articles and blogs and written content online. So, for example, here, consensus building was challenging at scale as more people came in, right? So they're saying this process was difficult. Weather prediction has been a challenging problem. So, this is great for words and also for phrases as well. So, for example, we have a phrase in English. Let's say this: to bite off more than you can chew. We'll see what we find here. So, this is an idiom, and it just means to accept more responsibility than you can handle. But you can see here, there's lots of different blog posts. So start from the inside out and never bite off more than you can chew. And you can also listen to it. And if you click the link, sometimes it will take you to the website. Yeah, so here we go. So we have the word challenging, but if we control F, we can say, yeah, it's also not a good idea to bite off more than you can chew. So that's pretty much what you can do with this. It's similar to this other resource that we talked about a moment ago. And yeah, it's good for written English. Quien mucho abarca, poco aprieta. ¿Sería el cuento creo? ¿Quién mucho? Ah, ok. No sabía eso, la verdad. Quien mucho abarca, poco aprieta. Sería el equivalente, creo. Ah, okay. Okay, very good. Awesome. Thank you. I learned a bit of Spanish here this evening as well. So thank you very much. But that is another website, and I like it because you can use it for idioms. So when you go on Google Translate for an idiom, it may not work out very well, but you can use these to learn in context. So a few more. We have enjoyable, meaning the job is fun. So maybe you get to work in something you're passionate about, like sports or technology or something like this. Inspiring means that it motivates you to be a better person, or maybe you get to work with really cool people, so the job is inspiring. And then the last one is fulfilling. Fulfilling is very similar to rewarding. So if a job's fulfilling, it means that, yeah, it makes you feel like a good person, and you leave work every day feeling like you're having a positive impact on the world. So, for example, one of the reasons I like teaching English is because it is challenging, but it is rewarding. It allows me to live here in Colombia and, yeah, have a nice quality of life here. And it's also very fulfilling to be able to see students grow and just kind of to, yeah, to see the progress they can make in their careers and their lives as a result of learning English. So, it's a great career. All right, we'll go to the next one. Now we'll talk about the negative side. So stressful. So this is a word that a work, a job that gives you lots of stress. So pretty self-explanatory, full of stress. Repetitive is a job that you have to do the same thing over and over. So maybe you work in a factory and your job is to do the same task 1,000 times a day. Or maybe you work in a call center and all day long you're handling the same types of calls. It's very repetitive. Exhausting is another way to say tiring. It causes you a lot of, yeah, tiredness, pretty much. So maybe you work in construction, or maybe you work in something that's very mentally exhausting. So you have to really focus and think all day long, and by the end of the day, you are exhausted. Boring is also very common. Boring is aburrido, so it's a job. Maybe it's repetitive, but it's not something that is exciting for you. Then the last one is demanding. Demanding is like exigente. So it requires a lot of you, maybe even emotionally. So lots of time, lots of energy, lots of effort. And demanding is something we also use to talk about people. So you could say, my boss is so demanding. So when I get home from work, he sends me an email, hey, can you please do this? Even though I already finished work for the day. He's very demanding. So we will continue here. Any questions about any of these adjectives? Okay, we are running out of time, um, but we'll move on to the next little part. All right, so we'll fly through this next part real quick. When I say fly through, it means to go through very quickly. I think it's the same in Spanish. Vamos a volar por eso. All right, so when you're describing work, you could also say, I manage something, I oversee something. Okay, thank you. Or I supervise something. So typically talking about things relating to leadership. So I manage a team of designers. I oversee the company's financial operations, or I supervise a group. Another word here, you could just say I lead. So I lead a team of engineers, or something like this. So manage, oversee, and supervise. All right. Describing the things you do in your daily tasks. Earlier, we talked about handle. So handle is like deal with. Coordinate is more like to organize different things and put them all together. Imagine you're planning a wedding or something, and you need to coordinate the location and the food and the music and the guests, and there's many things, and you need to coordinate them all together. And then organize is similar to coordinate. So you just need to make sure everything is in a good order and everything works in a structured way. Okay? Last part here. When we talk about problem solving, you could say that you improve something, you develop something, or you optimize something. So improve is like mejorar. I improve the onboarding process to make it easier for new employees. Develop is como I'm getting a bit tired here, but it's desarrollar, to enhance something. So I develop training programs to help employees learn new skills. And then optimize is, yeah, optimizar. Optimize our website's SEO. So to make something as good as possible is to optimize. But okay, very good. So unfortunately, I do have to go. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to come here and, yeah, sit here and watch and learn with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys learned something. If you guys have any other questions before I leave, please put them in the comments. I have a couple more minutes. But yeah, if you want to practice what you learned today, the best way to do this would be to go into the messages and click on this link to Canva. And on this link, you can go through and see all of the different things we learned today. and you want to think about how you can apply them to your job. So you can think, okay, my job is I work as an analyst. Okay, I'm an analyst. What am I responsible for? I'm responsible for uh, man- managing spreadsheets. Okay, it was a very good class. Okay, thank you, Cello. Is improve, general, and enhance is for something. Yeah, I would say enhance is more specific. So if you want to enhance something, it also means to make it better, but it's more formal, it's more specific. Improve you can always use. There's no problem with improve, but I could say I need to enhance is more used with the word performance. So I need to enhance my performance, maybe in the gym, or maybe I need to enhance my performance in another area, perhaps, si me entiendes. But enhance is used more about very specific things, I would say. Improve is more general. So, yeah, more specific. Very good. So, but yeah, if I were you, what you guys can do is you can take out a pen and paper and go through the notes and say, okay, how can I write about my responsibilities? And next time you have the chance, instead of saying, I am a manager, I do this, you can say, I'm responsible for, my job consists of, and then you can use some of these new adjectives and new verbs. So I'll put the links also to these free resources as well, Test English, Youglish, and Sentence Stack. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me at my email here, grant@businessasusualenglish.com, or you guys can message me on my Instagram as well. So thank you so much for tuning in to my first ever live stream. I hope it was a great bit of time. And yeah, thank you guys. I will see you next time. So, and also subscribe. Yeah, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. I post short videos, and I'm going to start posting some longer form videos here soon. So, the idea with this live stream is to do once, maybe twice a week, and to teach for now, maybe business content, maybe some other ideas, but the idea for now will be teaching business content. But yeah, leave a comment if there's something that you want to learn, something you want me to talk about. I'm always open to suggestions and ideas. So have a great night, guys. I'll see you later.